say you were going to go climb Mount Everest. This is straight from our training, right? You're not just going to go climb Mount Everest, right, without talking to an expert?
Sure not.
Right? So, like, if you were going to do that, we're going to outfit you with the right stuff.
All right, guys, welcome out to the RV Voice. My name is Shane, alongside Jake and Tanner. Today we have an episode where I'm going to be kind of walking through what it's like to be a customer going through an RV dealership for the first time. But we're going to first get to know JB and Tanner and their history here at Bish's RV and what they do. And so that way you can kind of understand their background before I get into the questions that I'm going to be, pulling their way. So let's start with Tanner. Tanner, I'll ask you, what do you do for Bish's right now, and how long have you been doing it for?
I've been in sales and working on 2 years now with Bish's, coming from car sales.
Okay, so real quick on that front, where are you currently working at? Which dealership are you at with Bish's?
Our Lincoln, Nebraska store.
In Nebraska, okay. And coming from the car industry, what have you noticed as far as like similarities?
Similarities is, it's all the same as far as like making a friend, but I think the more the family style that Bish's embodies is what I liked about it, is the people that you work with and what Bish kind of stands behind. And that's what I got, not from the car industry, that I got from the RV industry, is just a lot more team building.
Okay, and how long have you been selling at Bish's again? What did you say?
Working on 2 years now.
2 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, coming up on the 2 year mark. And Jake, before you came over to the corporate headquarters here in Idaho, you were out, in that direction as well. Tell us a little bit about your background on that front.
So selling RVs, first I didn't even know that RVs were sold at a dealership. Didn't know that. I had no idea. Even though I lived right by one. I just walked into a door, in the door at Bish's, because I was just taking interviews for fun. At random places, and I walked in and I really liked the idea of how Bish's worked. Not a pushy sales place. They have a good sales process. I was kind of enamored by sales processes at one time, and they had a good one. I walked in there and talked with Loyal at the time, and it was a sales funnel. I enjoyed the sales funnel. I enjoyed the idea of Bish's and started working there. Took me about 6 months to get a grasp on it, and then I started killing it. So then when I left, I hired him. And now I'm at the corporate side doing this.
The RV Voice. You are the RV Voice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys both have some good experience. We call them outfitters, right? Like in this industry, and with us, we call them outfitters. Tell us, I'll ask you, Jake, why do we call them outfitters?
Okay, so it's actually part of our training. This is by the best way to go through it. It's different from cars, and I'm going to explain that real quick. So different from cars, because a car is like you see a car and you're like, I want that car.
Yeah.
There's a little more, there's not really a niche for everything. So like if you need, I go hunting and camping, well, you're probably going to need an SUV or a truck, right? But I'm just a regular commuter, so you need like a Ford Focus or a Mustang or something like that, depending on that. But when you walk into an RV dealership or you walk into the RV world, there's a lot more to it, right? And when I say there's a lot more to it, is like there's hundreds of brands for one, and within those brands, there's hundreds of brands, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So Forest River itself is a giant. It's the giant of everything. And then you go in there and you get on their website, and there's tiers of everything. Then there's travel trailers, fifth wheels, and then motorhomes. And then within those, there's like 40 different brands of them. And then you need to know the actual floor plan that you're going to need. So if you're couples or you got 6 kids, it's a big difference. So the outfitter world is like, say you were going to go climb Mount Everest. This is straight from our training, right? You're not just going to go climb Mount Everest, right, without talking to an expert?
Sure not.
Right? So, like, if you were going to do that, we're going to outfit you with the right stuff. We're going to give you the right gear, the right boots, the right pants, the right goggles that you're going to need at the top because it's so blinding up there. They're going to outfit you with the right gear. So we call us salesmen in the dealership world RV outfitters, because when you walk in, you need this things. Like every person has a different need. Every customer walks in, I need something that sleeps 2 people or 6 people. All right, sweet. We're going to be doing a lot of camping in the middle of nowhere with no hookups. Okay, that's boondocking. So we need solar. We may need a generator. I need more storage for XYZ, or I need a bike rack. I need this and that and the other. It is our job as outfitters to point you in the right direction to the right camper. So a lot of times we'll have customers walk in that, hey, I want this, this, and this, and this, or I like this camper because of this, and actually sell them something completely different because they thought they wanted this. Then we show them, here, this is what you need. And we usually have a lot of happy customers for that. We actually had one the other day. You had one. You told me last night. RV Outfitting World, just as a quick example, tell them that story.
Yeah, I had a lady that was, or a couple that came in, first timers. They never really got into it, and we educated them, got them in the right fit for them. They were kind of just thinking of taking it out every once in a while, nothing crazy. Got them with a very nice used Jayco. And they came in and had a few title things, and I talked to them like, how's it going so far? And they're taking it every weekend. Every weekend they're going. They love it so much, and they got into talking into it more, and now they're thinking about ditching their jobs, going remote, getting a fifth wheel in a couple years, and full timing it. They just loved it so much that they were wanting to do it forever now. And
wow,
that was just like really good to hear on the outfitter side, where they just came in thinking it was going to be fun, and now we completely flipped their entire way of life.
Are you okay?
Oh man, I got something. Sorry guys, apologies. No, that's awesome because someone like myself would probably need, my perspective, I would need someone like yourself because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. And that's the whole reason we're doing this episode is like, I'd come in there thinking I know what I'm doing. Like I would think that I know what I want, but then I probably wouldn't know what I want. So for example, I'm new to the RV industry. I just think they look cool. Some of them look cool. I think some of them look terrible. But I would probably first start off with looks, having no idea. JB, do you remember the question I asked you and Cole regarding a certain model? We were going to go do a photo shoot with Alliance about a month ago now at this time of this recording. And I told you what model we were using. And I said, can you guys tow that? And you were like, no, that's a fifth wheel. I was like, well, can you not tow that? And you're like, no. So that's how ignorant I am in regards to the RV industry. At least I'm starting to learn, but I know there's other people out there that want to buy RVs, but don't even know the difference between a travel trailer and a fifth wheel, or just even like the little things that you were saying, like what are you using it for? So let's walk through an example. Let's pretend I'm walking in. Both of you were in Lincoln, so I'm going to pretend I'm in Lincoln. I've only been there once in my life, but we're going to pretend I'm in Lincoln. I'm walking into the dealership. It's my first time in there. I think I have an idea of what I'm going to do. What's the experience like for a customer? So I'm walking in. What's the first thing that's going to happen when I walk in?
Yeah, it's like walking into your mom's house. You walk in and she's going to feed you right away. Make sure that you're good, water, all that jazz. Throw in a joke here and there. Let's sit down and talk about what you need. And just sit them down and focus on what's important to you, what kind of camping you do, and just make sure that we can get them into something that, that they don't fall in love with, that they can't, that isn't necessary within their budget, and all those. There's so many factors in it that not a lot of people that know, really. I mean, you can watch so many YouTube videos, but once you get in, and education is key on our end.
So I had this conversation with Todd on the talk we had recently with the RV outfitter. So when you walk in, like, it's not just like buying a car. Okay. You walk in, you can take that car home that day. Like I know I want this car because I want this car. And we're probably not going to show you everything else. Some people will walk in like that. I want to see this model and this model alone. Well, the problem is with that, like, what if I have this model that just came in on trade, or maybe something very similar that's actually be better fit for you financially, better fit for you just for like fitting as a family, outfitting you as like what equipment has on it, just a better fit overall. But like if you just walk in and say, I want to see this and this only, like you're actually doing yourself a disservice as a customer. So the first thing is, as an outfitter, is like we're going to greet you. You walk in the door. If someone doesn't greet you within the first 5 seconds, call me. I'll tell them. But that we want to get all the information from you. Like, yeah, I know people like get a little kind of like, oh, I don't want to tell you anything, but like, where else are they going to actually cater to you like that? Right. Not everybody's going to do that. You're like, all right, yeah, I'll go show you this, and then don't see anything else. Well, personally, if I was walking into a place, say even like buying a gun, that I want to do specific hunting with, like up in the mountains, I want to know everything about each gun. Yeah. I grew up in the gun world, so I'm a little different, but I would like to know similarities, differences, or compared pricing very close to that. I'd like to know all those options. So as a customer, if you walk in and like, I'm looking at a Jayco 264BH, it's a very popular brand, very popular floor plan, but say we have the Go Play sitting on the lot, or say we have a 264 that's used on the lot. Well, we need to grab all the information, or even something else very similar. We want to grab all the information that you want, or that you want us to know. And obviously, we're going to try and get that out of you, right? That's the whole point of outfitting. And then show you those buckets, right? We're going to show you our top three choices, and then 4, 5, and 6. If you don't like these three, we're going to show you the next option, if we have them. So that's what we kind of do.
Yeah, and cutting that tension too, as far as like outfitters, and being named outfitters is already just relaxing the customer. I'm not here to sell you, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
And, again, a part of our training is, we're going to make it a great information day. We know you don't have to buy today, but let's go and see what's important to you. And, hey, if we happen to find the perfect one, we can get you taken care of.
See, that's good for me, because I absolutely hate getting cars because of I despise going onto a car lot. So I'll do everything I can to and I hate door-to-door salesmen too. I just can't stand talking to salesmen. But if you come in there and you cut the tension from the beginning, I think that's huge. The other thing is, I guess, for me, if I go in there with a set idea and you guys are doing everything you're saying right there, and you cut the tension and you start to ask these questions, how do we avoid getting information overload, right? Like if I'm coming in there, I'm like, man, I thought it was going to be this. Now I have all of these options. How do we avoid that happening and then start to narrow it down to the option, though? Because sometimes consumers get that information overload, and then it's like paralysis by analysis, and they're like, you know what? I don't think I need this anymore, because now I got too many options. Does that happen, or what do you guys see?
So you might answer this. Yeah. So the whole point of our sales funnel and all the questions that we ask actually narrows that down. So we actually, everything you give us, how many people you sleep in, how many times you can camp a year, where are you going to camp it? Like, are you going to do mostly hookups, go to the lake every weekend warrior, or are you going to go dry camping, yada, yada, blah, 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 or a mix of all that? So we pull that. What are you pulling with? What's your idea of payment? What's your idea of down payment? What's your idea of, what else am I missing?
Yeah.
Do you have a trade? Do you want to trade that in? Because all that plays into you as a profile, right? All these options that I'm going to give you are going to fit right in this bucket, versus I'm going to show you everything on the lot. Because if I just open the doors for you and just let you walk the lot, you have no idea what you're looking at. No offense, people. I'm not trying to be rude, but I walked in the RV industry and I worked there every day, and it took me 3 to 6 months to understand the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So as a customer, information overload is what we're trying to get rid of. Okay. And as Bish's RV, we're trying to tell, everything. If you type in a question on Google, we're going to try to be up there to answer that for you. That's what our whole marketing plan is. They ask, we answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're trying to get rid of the information overload. So we don't want to give you too much options, right? Obviously, our whole job is to sell you a trailer, right? But we want to give you the right trailer, because I don't want to give you the wrong trailer, because that's going to be bad on me.
Yeah.
Or someone's going to be upset. So we ask all these questions to give you actually a point of not information overload when you walk out the door. Like, here's the information that you need to know, because this is what you want. Though you think you wanted something else when you walked in here, this is actually going to fit you the best. So we're actually taking that information overload. We're going to fill you with a ton of information that day, but actually going to make it a smaller bucket for you to think about.
So I come from the sales the sales funnel industry. Mm-hmm. That's literally what you're doing. So that's what we used to use as the analogies. You walk into a place, somewhere, and the salesman grabs you by the hand and walks you through each step, so that by the time you get to the cashier, you've got everything you need. And it's a simple process. You don't have all that. So that's basically what you guys are doing, just not on an online front, right?
Correct.
That's awesome. Okay, so here's a question that I had for you guys. Difference between a travel trailer and a fifth wheel. I know we've had a lot of content about this, but what would you say for that answer?
Super important on what you're towing with. If you don't want to buy the big expensive 3/4 ton, or if you're using the 3/4 ton just for a fifth wheel, it's not applicable for real life. If you're driving to work every day with a 1/2 ton truck, you don't need to go and buy a bigger truck. Obviously, the fifth wheels could be a better pull, more room, a lot more options as far as that goes. But it all depends on what you need. I mean, do you need that, or?
So I drive a Highlander, Toyota Highlander. Can I even tow anything with that?
Yeah.
Like any kind of a
Maybe.
RV, or would I have to upgrade my car? What's an option for us, wife and kids? I got 3 kids, 3 small children, and 2 dogs, 2.5 dogs. Got Chihuahua. my wife, my 3 kids, we have a Toyota Highlander, and currently I don't necessarily want to upgrade it to a truck if I don't have to yet. What would be an option for me that might potentially work?
Don't you have a Dodge?
I don't have a Dodge.
Okay. Well, for this episode, you don't.
Yeah, sure. I have a Dodge.
So Toyota Highlander. Toyota Highlander.
Highlander. Yeah.
Okay. So typically those are around. I'm a shoot from the hip 5. Yeah, 4,500 to 5. That gives you single axle options really.
Okay.
That's about it. Here's the reason. Single axles are going to be around 3,500 pounds ish.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Under 3.
Depending, yeah.
Okay.
That's dry weight, right? That's no water. That's no gear. That's nothing. As the camper sits or the RV sits by itself, 3,500 pounds. That gives you 1,500 pounds of room to pull, right? They say the 5,000 pounds. That's kind of it's a limit, but it's not like you hit 5,000 pounds, it's going to break. You know, it's a safety limit. It's probably can pull like 6, but everything's with the suspension in the back end and steering capabilities, and then if you load it down with yourselves, all your gear and all that, then that 3,500 pounds all becomes 5,000 pounds.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you always got to leave yourself room, and it changes every single camper, right? So if you have a fifth wheel and you have 12,000 pounds towing capacity and the fifth wheel is 9,000 pounds, well, the fifth wheel can hold a lot more gear, and you're probably going to be in there a lot longer. So it's just how you play it. I mean, there's certain things you can do, and I've had people kind of push the limit. You know, I've had people push the limit, and they call me back like, oh, my truck's kind of struggling. I'm like, well, you're probably putting too much gear in it. Like, I gave you plenty of room, but, everyone camps a little different. So,
Totally. Okay.
Toyota Highlander, about 5,000 pounds. So you're going to be a single axle, like a 180 BHS Go Play or
174, 175.
Yeah, 184 BS by Jayco, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something small.
But there are options.
But there are options.
Okay.
And it depends on what you're doing too. Like in those questions, like where do you like to go camping? Like, are you somebody that just kind of pokes around Boise, doesn't really drive out that far? Or if you're headed down to Salt Lake, Montana, Oregon, maybe pushing your vehicle, going those longer distance isn't in your best interest. If you're doing something that's pushing it and you're staying local for the most part, it's not going to be too damaging to you, as long as you're keeping the speed limit right and not, doing your due diligence.
Okay.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Here's something that I think is super important as I dive deeper into this industry right now, and it's the RV service type of deal. We were talking to a lady yesterday, and she is a customer of ours out of Texas, and she was talking about how like they're brand new, just like me. Like they're brand new, and they went out for the first time, and their air conditioners broke. All 3 of them weren't working in the RV that they had, and it's in Texas, so it's super super hot. And she was talking about like, dude, it was terrible. But she called BishFix, and they were able to get her like taken care of in 30 minutes. Air conditioners are up and running again instead of having to take it in. How do I go about like even finding out about RV service that Bish's provide? So Tanner, if I go in there, since you're currently an outfitter, you're doing your thing, do you guys like, is that something that gets brought up a lot from people? Like, what if I didn't even know that was a thing, but I know that that I needed to know that information? Like, how does that get brought up, and how do you guys go about that? Yeah,
it needs to be brought up every time because it's changing the RV industry. That's something where you have a tech in your pocket. It's great for first timers. We make sure to educate people like how to use their camper and stuff like that, but things fly off your head when you're getting all this information and you forget sometimes. You can always call that number and be like, how does this work? What a great tool to have. Just like if you have a question, you don't have to call in the dealership and wait. You can have somebody that's a professional that can touch base and really just make sure that you know for sure. And it's that confidence that you have, like you're not going to be stranded.
Yeah.
You're always going to have some sort of help. But yeah, it's the first thing that we mentioned, with the winterizations and now this new BishFix. It's great to help people.
I'd have sold the crap out of BishFix.
Yeah.
Well, it's a, you have your sales points, right? When you're in there, you're like, oh, I got this, that, and the other. Like, you always say that. I mean, I just get that stuff out of the way almost as quick as possible. When I was on the lot, I'd do my sales pitch almost immediately. Like, I get it out of the way, and then I just sit back and like, what's going on? So how are you guys doing? Like, that's all I got. Really, I mean, we're an RV dealership, but I'm not trying to sell you nothing. Like, you came to me.
Yeah.
How's it going? Like, I just want to hang out with you, make a friend now. But that was like a BishFix. I mean, if I would have had that, I bet you I would have sold another 3, 4, 5 customers at least that year.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, another 10%, 10 more customers, that would have been great. The reason being is like when you're out there doing this, I mean, at least in Nebraska, a lot of the old timers, I mean, everyone hangs on to everything. I mean, there's old lots, old farmyards that are just full of stuff. You see the old pickup that grandpa used to drive, uncle's old pickup, 3 pickups generations from somebody else's house. It'd be there. There'd be old equipment there because people could fix things. You just grab it and fix it, grab it and fix it. Everyone knows how to do their own stuff. But when it comes to campers, comes to RVs, it's a little different. And not everyone knows that. So, yeah, I mean, they have people know how to do HVAC, water heaters and all that. But if you could just call a number, if you didn't know how to do something and you're out camping and your water heater goes down and it's kind of cold outside, or, early spring and you want to take a hot shower. We had one the other day. Todd was talking about it. Like someone called in, their water heater wasn't working. Within an hour call versus calling and like, hey, I have a problem, bring in your camper. That's an hour one way, unload everything, take it in. Then 90 days later, you get your camper back. This was all taken care of within 1 hour.
Oh, that's crazy.
Just because of a phone call. So that's huge. I mean, that's real. I mean, the 50% of the time almost now is that you give a call, you don't have to take your camper in because we fixed it over the phone. It's like 43%. So 50% of the time.
Oh, that's
huge.
That's massive.
That's huge. I mean, as a customer, that's a huge confidence builder for me. Like, all right, sweet. I don't have to go anywhere else. Like, why would you go somewhere else at that point? So that's what BishFix is really doing. It's a really big change in the RV world because they're homes on wheels. And there are little things here and there. Stuff you're going to shake down and break a little bit. And so if you have someone to call, it's like, hey, 3 steps, do these 3 things. It might work. If it doesn't work, then we're going to tell you when to come in. We're going to order the parts. And when it gets there, it's only there for a couple days.
Love it.
Yeah.
That'd be a huge selling point for me because I've been told it's not if, it's when something breaks because it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of the game. And so I would know nothing. I'm not like my dad. I'm not a mechanic, dude. Mm-hmm. I don't know any of that stuff. So I'd probably be in a panic, and just knowing that I have an option would be a selling point for me there too. Just be like, okay, I got some comfort there. You had mentioned, I think, JB, at the beginning, it's different than a car because a car dealership, you can get the car that same day. What's the average time of like you go into a dealership for an RV? When can I expect to actually have my RV?
So, man, you're struggling,
dude.
buddy.
It's bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I should be in here. But anyway, so
somebody open up a window.
There you go. One of these times he's gonna be all right. So, when you come in and say, "Hey, I agree to these terms," you're fine. So you come in and you sign paperwork on that day, you put it down a deposit. There are situations and cases where we call spot deal.
Okay.
If you're there early enough in the day, we can basically, you put your deposit down, we can go run you through the whole finance system, get you approved by the bank, sign paperwork that day, and during that whole time,
dude.
Yeah, you're fine. During that whole time, we'll be signing. You'll sign paperwork, and we'll be getting the RV prepped and ready for you to go.
Okay.
So we'll do everything in one day, which is, it kind of throws, depending on the day, can throw some roadblocks and other things, but we can do that. But what we really like to do is we like to see it gone in, is it 3 days?
Yeah, max.
Within 3 days, 2 to 3 days. The reason being is we take your deposit, you go. You might not be ready to take it home that day anyway, depending if you have the pickup or not, right? So you go home, you get kind of ready for whatever you want to do. We're prepping it. We're going through it all, make sure everything's working, and then we're cleaning it. And that way, that situation financially could be a better suit for you because we're fighting against the banks. Not really fighting. We might pin them against each other, get you a better rate.
Yeah.
Versus that day, depending on your credit and stuff like that. I mean, you can get a perfect rate, and we can't beat it. Is what it is. But the 3-day system is like how we really like to do it. I know I've heard rumors of us trying to work on that to get it to be where it's same day, but that's a lot of service time. New stuff comes in, we PDI it, we get it perfect and prepped and ready. It's on the lot brand new almost. I mean, obviously brand new anyway, but like ready to go.
Yeah.
It's got batteries, it's got loaded and all that thing. But that's a different situation. But yeah, 3 days is really like the max we like to see, 2 to 3 days.
I love that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I can expect about 3 days or so to
got to make sure everything's working for you, all that jazz. I think we are working to get to the automotive standard where we have it all ready, and it's just that's the one you want. Okay, we already pre-checked it. Just got to do another quick check, because I'm the kind of guy, if I see it and I want it now.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to get. We'll get there sooner once we get things picked up service wise. So we got, I think, like 200 campers on our lot that we always got to constantly check. So
yeah, but there's a little difference. So like when you see a car, right? You fit 4 or 5 people in it, 6 or 7 depending, right? It comes out looking lickety split. You can eat off the car hood, right?
Yeah.
These things, RVs, they get pulled down the road. They get some shakedown.
Yeah.
They just got made, handmade, not by robots, right? Handmade in a factory, and when it goes down the road, we call it shakedown, right? It really shakes the crap out of the RV, and it shakes down sawdust from the vents, from the cabinets, all this, and you walk in, and there might be something on the floor. This is what it is. We have to prep that thing, go through it, make sure everything's working, because every manufacturer has a PDI facility, which is what does PDI mean? I forgot. Pre-delivery inspection. Yeah, it's pre-delivery inspection. Then we do another one.
Okay.
When it gets the pre-delivery inspection, when it comes to us, and we go through it, make sure everything works. Piece of trim's falling off, we fix that. Happens all the time. So that's why it takes a little more time than versus that car that looks absolutely spick and span brand new. Obviously, they had to detail the outside when it showed up, because it comes in on a trailer as well. But it's just a different animal. It's not the same. So that's how it is. That's why it takes a little longer.
It totally makes sense. So the explanation, I think, is important for people like myself and other consumers to understand that. Like, yeah, it's a little different animal. Like you said, that's the best way to put it. The last question I'll ask you guys then, having that experience, what makes a more informed consumer? Like, what could we do on the marketing front? So, like, we're the marketing team. So what can we do to help create a more informed consumer before they walk through the doors?
maybe give them those questions that you need to ask yourself, like what you're doing. Like those first kind of deals where it's like, how many do we need to sleep? What are we pulling with? What kind of camping do you do? And maybe it does its own kind of funneling, like what you might need, and it kind of give you some pointers. Maybe something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we've talked about that, kind of doing like a sales, like an outfitter walkthrough, like a virtual outfitter. We've kind of had that. We've had that kind of conversation before, but it's kind of hard to do because it's filters, right?
Yeah.
And I only need to sleep 5 people, but it shows you 4. It's not. It's the RV world is so strange. I mean, getting into it, you understood it when you walked in. You're like, like you walk into an RV, you're like, oh, this looks fine, and then you walk into this one, this looks fine, but this one's got bunks, this one's got no bunks. So I've actually had people that had, I sleep 2 kids as well, but they didn't buy a bunkhouse. They buy a rear living that has a fold down bed and a pull out couch. Why? Because it works better for their situation. They got more room. They spend more time outside than sleep in. So it's not one size fits all for everybody. So yeah, it's just a little different.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's hard to like just nail it down for everything. Mm-hmm. But I will say, like, I do feel like as a marketing team, we do a pretty good job at least providing. You mentioned it earlier, JB, like the They Ask You Answer model. We try to put the blogs out there. We have RV voice content that's out there. There's a wide variety of informational content. If you're a consumer, I guess from my perspective, I would probably try to do my best to at least inform myself a little bit. But that's why we have experts like them to go in there and like help us narrow that down even more before we get to, buying our RV. So is there any other advice you guys would give as, a former outfitter and a current outfitter to anybody who's listening right now that has interest in buying an RV from Bish's?
One thing real quick. we never completely answered the travel trailer fifth wheel thing.
Oh, okay.
The reason why travel trailer pulls from the bumper, hook up to the hitch on your bumper. Fifth wheel sits in the bed. That's where it connects, in the bed of the pickup. Sits right over the axles. So hitch weight's a big thing on that, but 2 totally different things. We'll get in that in another episode. But anything other advice-wise, don't dive too deep right away. If we could figure out, hey, this is the 3 things you really need to look at. Don't get the, what do we call it? Fish in a pond eyes or something like that. Ooh, that's shiny.
Yeah, shiny object syndrome.
Might not be the perfect thing for you. Don't like go too wide because you walk in there like, I want a 30. What is that? 382 FLRB which is a giant North Point. You don't need that. It's a house on wheels, literally a house on wheels. I could have lived it when I thought about it, you know. When you really need like a 184 VHS or a 180 VHS because of your standards and like what you need for sure.
Yeah.
So I would keep yourself in a little bucket. You know, obviously you want to venture out a little bit, especially as a newcomer. You want to kind of see, but like go in and talk to somebody. If you want to talk, just call somebody, ask the questions. That's what salesmen are supposed to do. That's what outfitters are supposed to do. Don't be afraid to call and ask, but just know they're going to have your number now.
Love it. Anything for you, Tanner?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, all these campers have their own oddities and differences, and they're all built the same. The dealership is the person that takes care of you at the end of the day.
They're not completely built the same. Hurt manufacturer's feelings. They're very similar.
Here and there.
No, there's differences, but yeah.
Yeah.
They go down a production line built very similarly.
Yeah. The dealership is who takes care of you at the end of the day. The things that we implement as far as like taking care of customers, you know, we're huge innovators, always looking for things to help, coming out with BishFix, coming out with our line of campers that have good quality at a better price point. Just makes you feel better. You know, that's the people that take care of you, and that's what Bish does. That's what I like about it.
It's a good point. The dealership world has a distaste. It is what it is, but like, be picky, be choosy. We might not have, or you know, Bish's might not have the exact camper for you, and that is what it is. At that point, we can't sell you that camper. But yeah, choose the right dealership for you. That's a good one. Yeah, talk to the dealership, see what they have to offer. I have a video that's like, what are you for sure to ask? Ask what's all included in the sales price, or what's all included in the purchase price. If the purchase price is whatever. Is there fees? Is there more than that? Is there what's coming from the dealership itself? Are you guys going to back me up? What service is entailed with this? What's the warranty entails? So you got to think about those things too. But yeah, buying from the dealership that makes you feel comfortable is a big thing for me.
So if you guys haven't caught on by now, like these dudes right here, this is the Bish's standard right here. Like if you don't feel comfortable talking to them, I don't know what to tell you. Go check it out yourselves. If you're interested in buying an RV, I'd highly encourage you guys to go to a Bish's dealership near you, if there is one, right? And then go check it out. Ask the outfitter some questions. Go through the process yourselves, and see if you don't come out with an RV that perfectly fits your needs. We'd like to also encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. Hit the follow button here on YouTube. Follow us on our social media channels as well, so you can see JB and more of his content on the RV Voice. And the only other thing is, we'll put it in the description. We have launched a newsletter here at Bish's RV called The Root, and we'll do that twice a month. So we just encourage you guys to sign up for the newsletter. It's free. And again, I apologize for my cough throughout this entire episode, but I appreciate you guys being patient with us, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.